There it is.
Yeah.
All right, I'm bringing this meeting to order. We have no closed session. Let's please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call. Everyone's here except Mr. Bloom. Expect him probably to be arriving shortly. Okay, notice to the public. Any member of the public wishing to address the governing board on a topic within the subject matter jurisdiction of the district but not on the agenda may do so during the public comment period identified in this agenda. By law, subjects not on the agenda cannot be acted upon by the board except to briefly respond, clarify, or refer to staff for review and presentation at a future meeting. The board president will recognize you for the public comment on matters at the agenda at the appropriate time. Any correspondence? None?
No.
Nothing on the consent. Public comment. Anybody from the public? Seeing none. Guests and presentations? None? All right. Director's report.
Okay. I've included a copy of the latest budget report, which is through December 31st of last year. I think I'll just let you guys look at it at your leisure unless anyone has any comments or questions.
Thank you. Oh, hi, Andy. Sorry, snuck in. Hi. Okay.
Move on?
Move on.
Well, I
Okay.
had one question.
Okay.
The construction in progress, what's that again? What are we doing?
That's all stuff left over from prior library directors.
So we really don't have, this is just money that's been allocated towards construction in progress, but we don't have construction in progress at this time.
Yeah,
correct?
that's correct.
Okay, so essentially,
$500,000.
yeah, what we really probably should be doing is putting, moving that from one fund to the other. So, and we don't know if that's a cash fund or not. Do we
Yeah,
know?
that I don't know. I know the accountant asked Solano about it, and they weren't able to really fill her in on exactly what it is.
Okay. Can we, yeah, it would be nice to know whether that was being held as a cash fund. And if it was, then we ought to, you don't really need us to do it. You should be able to do it without us and just report it to us.
Okay.
But yeah, you should be moving that fund. So.
Okay, any other questions for right now? Any public comment on this? All right,
You
library.
don't need action from us to approve any of these budget documents?
No.
Shouldn't we be approving them quarterly?
Oh, these?
This is what we asked you to provide to us.
Yeah, this
pretty
is
much
what I do every month.
every month. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
because we wanted to be more up to date on
all right,
on how the budget is working. So,
Yeah, it
Thank
hasn't
you.
been an action item in the past.
okay.
okay.
Okay, library activities. Everyone should have a copy of Adrian's report she did about the winter reading program. And we had 55 kids participating, 340 books were read, which was less than our goal of 800, but I still think it was okay for being over Christmas holidays. We did support one family from Dixon Family Services and provided them with dinner and presents for Christmas. So that was kind of cool. I did go up to Oroville and dropped off books for the Weed Library. We talked about that before, that we were taking donations. And I dropped off 6 boxes of books for them up there. They only wanted things that were really in pristine shape, so there could have been more, but those just went back to the library bookstore. Otherwise, it's just kind of the usual story times and kids' movies and that kind of stuff as far as activities right now. As far as continuing education, Catherine did go to Guadalajara. Yeah, that was back in November. She really did enjoy it. She did get to meet a few different new vendors down there. She was really surprised how big the event is. And she was in her first trimester when she was down there, so she didn't really get to do sightseeing like she thought she was going to be able to.
I have a quick question on this reading.
Yeah.
The winter reading program report. Is that a misprint, or did one kid really read 107 books?
One kid did read 107 books.
How do you have time to read 107? And the second place read 26.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
I know, it's pretty good.
All right.
No, that's what Adrian said. The one girl accounted for almost a third of the books read.
Jeez. Awesome.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm trying to organize CPR and first aid classes for staff. So I found somebody in town who will do that at the library for us, but I haven't really got a set schedule beyond asking people if they had interest in it or not. And I'm taking a class next month on library management techniques taught by someone who's a former supervisor of mine down at Pasadena Public Library and a former state librarian. So it seems kind of basic, but the people doing it should have a great deal of expertise, so I thought I could probably still learn some things from them. That's it for the director's report.
Well, thank you for your contributions towards the library program for families in need. So appreciated that.
Well, thanks.
And I also wanted to say I was really impressed with the new library cards, the little ones that go on the keychain and the
Oh, yeah.
library cards. Those are great. Yeah, I saw them recently.
Yeah, those are handy. I've got one right here, actually.
All right, ongoing business. Approval of the minutes from November 13th, 2014. Do I have a motion?
All motion approval.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, do we have any comments on this? Any public comments on our approval of the minutes from November 13th, 2014? Seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, Carnegie.
Last time I brought photographs of some of the areas that needed improvement, and we talked about Pedro Moreno working on those areas. He did lay new concrete in front of the building, put in new grass, and extended grass to the end of the walkway along the far side of the building near the vacant lot. We're waiting for a new metal gate to put the trash cans behind so they won't be visible from the street too. The next weekend on the 31st, if weather permits, we're going to have those windows installed. That project got delayed with the rain this winter.
Where are we in terms of seismic retrofit and shear walling the foundation of Carnegie? We haven't even looked at that really, other than the prior analysis that was done.
No, I haven't really looked at it.
I don't have a lot of confidence in the prior analysis, and maybe what we ought to do is explore the possibility of getting someone in to look at the earthquake proofing that might be necessary to the foundation of Carnegie. The prior analysis that was done said that a lot of earthquake proofing work remained to be done to shore up Carnegie. I'm not so sure that all the work that was detailed is still necessary. I think we need to have somebody go take a look at that for us and see if we need to have how much additional bracing and shear walling we would need to make sure that the building is protected in the event of earthquake. So a lot of that work was not pursued because at the time, of course, the prior administration was going to tear down Carnegie and build a new library. So there was really no point at looking further at the issue of shoring up the foundation. So the report that this library had about earthquake proofing Carnegie is quite a few years old. Maybe, I want to guess, I'm just ballparking 6 or 8 years old. So we really probably should have somebody, an expert, take a look at that, foundation expert, take a look at that and see what they would recommend in terms of shear walling and bracing.
Okay.
That's just for the Carnegie building. Miller we would do separate, I would assume, as part of the overall Miller project. So,
Okay.
On to the next one?
Sure.
Okay. I talked with another architect, Paul Roberts from Vallejo, about the Miller Building project. He came out last week to look at it, but he's supposed to be preparing a report for me on what he thinks should be done and what it could cost, but I haven't gotten that back yet.
Okay.
just for the benefit of our audience members, since I know they're particularly interested in Carnegie and Miller, one of the recommended.
I did have a question.
Sure.
Before you moved on to another building item.
Oh, you had a Carnegie question?
Okay, come on up.
I was having some difficulty keeping track of what your meeting schedule was for a while, and I apparently missed something. But did I understand you to say that you're having new windows installed in the Carnegie?
We're having windows installed they're historically correct. Susan and I
Okay.
worked on it.
Okay, so we're not jeopardizing our place on the National Registry?
No, these are people that specialize in working with historic buildings. They're from Sacramento.
Okay, all right. Thank you. That was my concern. Because I know if you aren't very, very careful in how you do things, you're booted off that list.
Well, let me throw out one of my suggestions to you, and this is in conjunction to Miller. And, you know, not to go into all the details of how we might do an interior rehab of Miller, but, you know, we had the architect's report that's about a year to 18 months old now, that said that the bones of Miller were good, that the structure was savable, but that we'd have to go in, do plumbing, electrical, drywall, redo the interior, and we'd have to make sure the roof was sound. That was
An ADA as well, right?
an ADA, but
For the lower floor.
I have talked to Brian Chapman, you know, the ADA guru person, and the theoretical solution for ADA that we worked out is that the first floor would be completely public accessible with complete ADA bathroom facilities in the back corner where the current rundown, you know, but bathroom is framed out right now. That there would be an ADA approved office for should there be a disabled staff member in the future on the main floor, at least the same size or bigger than any offices on the second floor. The second floor would not be public access, and that would be used for storage and employee offices and just research areas for staff. And in that way, we would not have to put in an elevator or make the second floor ADA compliant, as long as we had a staff office that was available should we have a disabled employee on the first floor. So as long as the first floor is completely ADA compliant and has an ADA staff office, we would be able to use the second floor as just staff offices and storage. That would be the theoretical, that would be my suggestion for a theoretical, you know, inside construction of Miller. The way we would do it then is the foyer that's in front of the stairway would be completely opened up, and there would be a passageway that would run from the existing library to the Miller building, and then from the main part of the Miller building to where the driver's ed place is, which would be all additional public sections, and all of that level would be completely, everything there would be completely ADA accessible. Okay, but my comment was regarding the exterior of the building. What I'd like to recommend to the public and to the board is that those portions, Miller building has exterior that's stone, it's a bunch of different kinds of materials. Some of it is painted, some of it isn't. The portions that are painted right now are not the same color as Carnegie, they're a different color. What I would recommend is that we paint those portions of Miller that are a different color from Carnegie, the same color as Carnegie, and put the same lighting sconces on the top of Miller that are on Carnegie, so that it all looks like one unified complex. Now, Miller is not the same design as Carnegie, and that doesn't change Carnegie's persona, but it basically allows that whole corner to look more integrated. So give that some thought, see what you think about it. But the idea would be to make those painted portions of Miller, not the other portions, you leave them alone, but just the painted portions, more Carnegie-like. Okay?
I know there was some discussion at one time to try to restore the Miller building to more of its original, the exterior of it, and take off the additions that were put on in the, I don't know what year, probably the 50s or 60s. But that may be cost prohibitive.
It's not cost effective to do that, and we would lose a tremendous, we'd spend a lot of resources restoring it that way, and we would lose a lot of the square footage as well, should we take off that addition. And we really need a lot of that square footage just for future expansion and staff and so forth. I don't know that Miller is cost effective to restore like Carnegie was, nor of the same historical significance that Carnegie is, but we can certainly improve the appearance of Miller while still retaining most of its original character. I don't think we need to change the existing stone and the way the facade is right now, but my recommendation would be at least for those painted portions, we paint it to be in conformance with Carnegie.
And perhaps something else could come along later that would make the addition to it more
Addition's pretty awful, isn't it?
Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah.
Dixon did some really ridiculous things to their downtown over the years.
Well, yeah, I think phase one is well, the first thing is protecting the building from the elements, which we've done with the roof work. But then phase two would be to make it usable. I mean, it's just garbage right now. And at the last meeting that y'all were not at, or at least there's been some discussion where we would potentially, if it goes this way, give the driving school a considerably long period of notice so that they could very easily transition into whatever they were going to do, and then basically try to limit the expenses that we spend on Miller, so that we're not eating up our entire reserve.
Okay. Well, mainly I'm relieved that the window situation is going to be historically appropriate and won't jeopardize anything.
It won't be tinted windows or anything like that.
Or vinyl windows. Okay. Thank you.
All right.
Sure.
I don't know, you got to be careful with John as president. We might end up with tinted windows.
Mirrored windows. That way you can see yourself when you're walking by. All right.
Okay, the next thing is the facilities fee management report. This is kind of just a fleshed out version of what we talked about at the last meeting. It's something that's supposed to be done every 5 years for the Solano County Board of Supervisors, and it's been since 2006 since this was done. So this was put together by our accountant, and I know I have it as an action item, but I didn't know if y'all wanted to kind of read through this in more detail before actually voting on to whether to accept this or not.
No, I just want to comment again on how the 428 fund was over $1 million and went all the way down to zero essentially, and that's and then of course both on the operating and the capital side, we were really on the edge of zero for quite a while, and now at least you're showing about $250,000 in that fund. That's not, you know, nearly enough for, that's not nearly where it should be at this point, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Any other comments for the facilities fee management report?
Nope.
This is just more of a planning report at this point, right? Is that,
Yeah.
So I'd move approval of it if it's an action item.
Okay.
All right, we have an approval. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, we have approval and a second. Do we have any further comments on this or any public comments? Guy, are you okay, buddy? Okay. All right. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, new business.
Okay, another thing that has been put off for a while is the audit. It's supposed to be done every 2 years. It hasn't been done since 2011. But according to our policy 5001.1, it should be done every 2 years. This is the letter that Solano sent me about them doing, if we chose to do them to do the audit, it would cost $16,800, which we have not budgeted for, but we have a fund balance of reserves at just over $400,000, so.
I would just make a comment that we need to put that in a rolling in your budget from now on every 2 years. If this year 15, make sure it's in 17's budget.
Yeah, it should be.
Yeah, that should be a regular line item.
Yep.
The only one comment I made is, Guy, I thought we hired that forensic auditor, and he did 2 years for us.
Thought he did too.
And that was $6,000. And so, I know this is the county, I'm just wondering if, maybe, are we under, what's our time constraint with this? Are we, because the forensic auditor, a forensic audit is normally more expensive. And he did 2010 and 2011, I thought, for us, it was Arena signed a contract, I believe, for $6,000.
$6,000?
For that
Okay.
audit, yeah,
So,
pretty sure.
so we're not obligated to use Solano County?
Yeah, we don't have to use Solano.
Are they doing 2 reports? Because we're now 4 years.
No, it should be the 13-14 budget year.
Okay,
is
so
what
they're
they'd
not
be
gonna go
looking at.
back and do,
They're gonna go back and audit last year.
so we should have done one 12-13,
Yeah,
and
they're,
then we should be doing one 14-15.
well, they're doing 13-14 in 2012/13. So it is two
Oh,
years.
so it's
worth.
2 years.
Yeah.
So every 2
That's
years
why
they do
they're
the,
quoting 150 hours versus maybe half that, because you're doing 2 years.
Probably, yeah.
Then that makes it more reasonable, Joe.
Yeah, well,
Because it becomes that 8,000.
my suggestion would be that we authorize you up to this amount, and so that you can use these auditors if you want to.
Sure.
But then just have you make a call and see what it would cost to use because we were very pleased with the work of, I can't remember the guy's name right now, but it'll be in
Yeah, I
the
have it
records.
on file. I
We'll have
forget
it
what
on
his name
file,
is,
I'm
too.
sure. And just to see what he would quote us to do the same work, you could give him a copy of the letter and ask him what he would quote for that work. And then you could just make the determination of which way you want to go.
Okay, yeah, that makes
So-
sense.
And then the other point too being the fact that, because they're doing 2 years here, right? They're doing ending 2013 and ending 2012,
But
right?
he did two full fiscal years, is my recollection.
Okay.
We actually wanted him to potentially go back more, and we couldn't afford that at the time, so we capped it. But I'm pretty sure the figure was 6,000. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure the figure
Yeah, I'll
was
look into
$6,000.
it.
Well, I'd make a motion, and as far as, you are gonna want the management discussion part.
Absolutely.
So I'll make a motion that we approve up to $17,000 for you for audit purposes and to empower you to select either Solano County based on this letter or another auditor if you compare and find somebody that you think is, offers the same services on better terms.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay? That'd be
I'll
my
second.
motion.
All right, motion and second. Do we have any discussion on that? Any public comment on that?
Again, as she's coming up here, we just need to make sure we add it to our budget line as well.
What, me?
Sorry. No, go for it.
About the audit, it always seemed strange to me that Solano County kept the books, Solano County did the
That's a
audit,
good question.
and I just always thought that was very
Interesting.
wrong.
Well, Nancy, you might even remember. Do you remember the
Habib?
forensic auditor guy? How much was that? Was that about
It
$6,000?
was about that, yeah.
That's what I thought it was.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure.
He was very thorough.
He was very cheap too, I remember.
Yeah.
We were shocked. So it might be worth a call just to find out if, you know, we, as repeat customers, might get anywhere near the same deal.
Yeah,
So-
sure, I'll look into it.
Yeah.
And
No,
I-
that
and
is
I
my
do-
point,
and-
that anyone other than the people who keep the books should do the audit.
Okay.
So an independent audit. Makes sense.
She does have a point.
Makes sense. Okay. so
Government doing government.
We have a motion and a second, and no further comments on this? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right,
Okay,
approval of the dates for 2015 library board meetings.
Yeah, that's the last thing. It's just a list of all the dates for future meetings.
Okay.
She's got it.
No February meeting?
No, we decided to do this
'Cause
one.
I think it falls on a holiday, right?
Yeah, it's on
Right
Lincoln's
on
birthday.
President's Day weekend, yeah.
Yeah. And since the other one this month was going to be during winter break, we decided to just do one for January and February. So they're all on the second Thursday of each month, except for tonight's, of course.
That's what we agreed upon.
I'd move approval of the calendar.
All right,
I'll second.
Andy?
Well,
Andy's getting out his calendar. Or his calculator.
Doesn't work, it doesn't
so
work.
this is the third Thursday of the month?
Right.
Yes, and there, yeah, we had it this week instead of,
Are we off calendar on,
Right,
because
because
we
we're
were,
in
We're out of
between.
sync right now.
Because of the January, February.
Yeah.
but school board was last week, that was the second Thursday.
actually, today's the fourth Thursday, because the first was a Thursday.
So is this gonna be in
Okay.
the middle between the school board meetings? So we'll go
So
3
we're-
weeks in a
We're
row?
first and third, I didn't
So this is second?
see that
This must be second
yeah.
Thursdays?
I thought that was third, so, okay,
Yeah,
then
okay.
we're good.
So we're still doing it on the second. Yeah, and
Second
the
Thursday.
reason why we didn't have it on the 8th is because we were still on winter break.
And just a note of caution to Steve, last year, in particular, in June, the school district was under crisis because they had to pass their LCAP budget. And some of us were out of town and it became very difficult for them to get that meeting scheduled. And so you may want to consult with them about the June 11th date, just because everybody wants to be on the same page, and then consult with the board members about any vacation plans, because, I don't know, it was 3 of us, I think, took vacation
Well,
right at
that
that
is the week
time.
right after school ends.
Yeah, I
will be
took
out of town.
vacation right
Yeah.
then. And so we just want to make sure there's a quorum for these meetings, for that
Okay.
meeting in particular. Okay.
Okay.
Yep, that's it.
All right,
Did we approve it?
okay, so do I have a motion?
You had a
I'll
motion
move
and a
approve.
second.
I moved,
A second, okay.
and Catlin seconded.
Excellent. And any other comments, any public comments on our meeting schedule? Come on up. Is one of these days your birthday?
No,
Oh,
no,
okay.
well, I don't know, I
I
haven't
could arrange a
looked.
cake.
I haven't looked, I
Okay.
don't pay that much attention to my birthday anymore.
Oh.
Just something for you to think about, and I'm not sure how you could do it, but in the past, you've had a closed session, and it starts at the start of your meeting, and then the public doesn't know. I mean, we're just kind of sitting here twiddling our thumbs, not knowing when your closed session is going to be over with.
There was no
and-
closed session.
Pardon me?
There was no closed session.
I know, there wasn't, but I'm
Well,
just
you would
putting
see
this.
it on the agenda if there was.
But what I'm pointing out is.
Oh, you're right, excuse me. Well, yeah, why do we have closed session on the agenda if there's no closed session?
No, that isn't even my point.
I think like the school board meetings closed session starts at 6, but there's a set time for the start of open
Right,
session.
right.
And you would like us to have
Well,
a more definitive start time.
I would, but yet I understand the circumstances are altogether different.
Right.
I mean, I think some of us are coming back again, but when you don't have an audience, you don't have anyone waiting, there would be no point in you waiting for,
Well, we have to start it on the time it's agendized, or
We
whether it's-
did, though, in the past, have meetings begin at 6. Would it be
Have a closed
possible
session,
that if we had closed session
We could begin at
scheduled at
6.
6:30,
Right.
if necessary, with open session to begin at 7?
I'm okay with our open session meetings beginning at 6 personally, but I know
But I
that
think there was a
that was a conflict of one or two of the
People,
employees
yeah, public, yeah.
that,
But
so
you could-
how about,
Honestly, 7 o'clock works better for me. with
okay, let's
settling.
have our open session meetings always begin at 7 o'clock, and if we happen to have a closed session, we'll do it at 6, but our open meetings will always be at 7.
Just make sure you put it on here. Just say, just note, closed session to start at 6 and open session at 7.
well, the closed session isn't so important to the
Yeah,
public
but sometimes public wants to make comments.
ahead of time,
That's right.
right,
So you
Prior
open
to
the
us going into
meeting,
closed
is there any public comment to the
Mm-hmm.
closed session agenda?
Yeah, prior to us breaking for closed session, we have to do public
Right,
comments, just in
right.
case.
How about if we did this on the website, we could actually post that the open sessions always start at 7, and if there is a closed session
start at
scheduled, it
6.
would start at
Whatever time.
6:30 or whatever.
Okay.
And
This, I don't know that this will come up very often, but it did during a certain time period when there were a lot of
well,
closed sessions.
yes, there was always very animated and involved closed sessions in the past, with a lot of Brown Act issues that
Right.
were discussed in very heated terms.
Right.
But we haven't had a closed session here.
All year.
I can't even remember the last time we had a
We had-
closed session meeting.
We had one or two.
Yeah.
Did
where
we?
had to-
Okay.
to
But
deal
we
with some
were,
legal issues.
we were
Oh, yeah,
bringing
all right.
pizza there for a while to entertain ourselves while you were in.
See, I'd like to go back to the pizza.
So
Well,
does that, does
you
that
weren't
mean
invited because you were somewhere else.
does that mean you want more fights like we used to have?
No.
in the old
Not,
days?
not
No.
really.
Want
But
all
we
that to
could,
come
we could,
back?
s-
No.
If it
we
means
could,
pizza,
All the
yeah.
screaming?
No.
we could save you the leftover pizza.
Well, you know what? Maybe we ought to reopen that Carnegie item and let's talk about tearing Carnegie down, okay?
Okay, thank you.
And we can bring up library commission.
Yeah, really. There we go.
that
Let's talk
So
about
can we-
reenacting
just
the
kidding.
library.
Steve, so can you make sure we put that on the agenda?
If,
Yeah,
if
yeah,
you
sure.
want pizza, bring up that one.
There you
Oh,
go.
all right.
No,
that's tempting.
All right.
and we're good with this, right?
Yeah, okay, so we had a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Any announcements?
I just have I'm just gonna go back to Joe's I don't have an announcement. So let's definitely find out on that asset line, that 581,000.
Okay.
If it's cash, why it's designated in that account, let's move it to the treasury. Just so we know what it is. That 581,339. It says construction in progress. If that's sitting in an account and it's really cash, then let's get it out of there because we don't have any construction in progress.
Well, we have one in the 426 account and the 428.
Right,
account
I mean, the
that are-
426
We have
account is
both.
the 428 account is that 262,000, right?
Well, it's this, we have construction in progress of 79 there, and then under the
Or 269,
426.
excuse me, 269.
Yeah, and then we have the construction in progress, the figure you
79,
pointed
that's
out.
correct.
Yeah.
But if that's really cash up there, then I don't know we have any other projects other than the ones we're talking about, the 79,000.
We're really a lot more flush than we think
We are
if those
very
are
flush.
cash accounts.
That's right.
That's right,
We like finding money,
yeah.
so that's the only comment I have.
All
Okay.
right. Anybody else have comments before we? All right, we adjourn.
Oh, I'm sorry, one other comment.
After the gavel, you can't
Oh,
talk. Now it's a
man.
Brown Act.
You can't get it, man, we're out.
No, go ahead.
Just just as pro forma to put on the next agenda for the election of officers, information, discussion, action.
Okay,
Okay.
All right.
Adjourned.
all right.
Which we are already.
Wham bam.
And I didn't even cough, now I can cough like crazy. Bye all.